Okay. Okay, we are entering the Aquaculture Research Center, which is the animal holding facility for the Institute of Marine and Environmental Technology. Watch your steps. Roughly 16,000 square feet. It also was built as a demonstration facility. And by that I mean, we want that work, that research, to make it outside the walls of the laboratory and be taken, be used by the We start with city water, tap water, municipal water, same stuff you and I are drinking. We've invested time and money and energy into making the salt water. So we don't want to dump that salt water. So that is one of the reasons we're constantly recycling it, reusing that salt water. I started with municipal water. I started with Baltimore City water. Why can't I do that in Kansas? Why can't I do that in Iowa? Why can't I do that anywhere? So we could grow European sea bass in Oklahoma, in some cheap warehouse in Oklahoma that's located near an airport or a major interstate that has good distribution networks. So you see where I'm going with this. We really developed a technology that is that's really, it's controlled by the business decisions, by the market, by the distribution networks, by all of those. So, where's warehouse space going to be cheapest? Where's electricity cheapest? You can make business decisions and grow these products, and you're not going to have to be sitting with your warehouse or your facility on the coast of an ocean or on the coast of a bay. And that will really make a big difference. And you can get fresh seafood, and seafood demand is up. I didn't say it earlier, but I think you probably know it. Right now, we are heavily overfishing the global oceans, global waterways. 75% of global fisheries are either overfished, fully fished out, or beyond or at their maximum sustainable yield. That's 3/4 of the fisheries we can take nothing more from. I mean, we can't take more harvest than what we're currently taking on a yearly basis. And we're going to rely on aquaculture, on fish farming more and more and more in the coming decades to supply seafood to the global market. On how to take our solid sludge and make methane gas. And I should also say, Dr. Keiko Sato, I'm sure it's not lost on you that we're producing all of this methane. It's a biofuel, and we could be doing something very useful with it. And that's the intention. I mean, we're trying to do it for two different reasons. Number one, it's more environmental. We're dealing with a waste. We're dealing with something we've got to get rid of anyway. We might as well get rid of it and do something environmentally responsible or economically beneficial. We're trying to figure out how to use all that methane gas as an energy offset to run the facility. So we have this frantic activity in our hatchery for a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months, and then everything stops. The hatchery just, doesn't have anything to do the rest of the year. That's not a good way to run a commercial hatchery, but a commercial hatchery wouldn't want something like that. They want that hatchery being used all year round. We grow a lot of seafood here. It's clean. What we're doing is on a research basis. I mean, we're not a commercial operation. We produce a fish, we get them to market size, and then proof of concept, we want them to go out the door, and we want somebody to give us feedback on them, and we want to show people, yeah, you can do this. It can be economically, it's economically feasible to do it, and we have the capability to do it. So, we took some of them, we transferred them to restaurants. We took some of them, we transferred to seafood distributors. We got great feedback from them. So now we're thinking about homeless. I think that there is a lot of potential for the food desert, solving part of the production problem. Again, my boss, Yoni Zohar, we had cover story on the Baltimore Sun. I don't know how many years ago it's been, probably 4 or 5 years. And the headline was "Feeding the World," and pictures of the sea bream in the nets, that were coming from this facility. And there was a lot of talk about not just producing fish, but producing clean fish, producing, fish without contaminants in them, producing fish that are not causing environmental disruption and environmental problems. So that's the other side of it too. It's not just feeding people; it's doing it in an environmentally responsible way, in a way that you can economically sustain it. You can't spend $100 on each fish producing it, so you do have to have something that's doable. The aquaculture that's being practiced today is not your grandfather's aquaculture. It's not what was happening 20, 30 years ago, and it in some areas it is. I mean, aquaculture is very different, in places. China they're practicing a very different aquaculture than Norway is practicing, and for different reasons. I mean, China has a lot of rural, very low-tech, environmentally unsustainable in some respects. That's how their aquaculture is. There are 1.6 billion people there, and they're producing a lot of seafood, but we really can't tell you how much because getting the statistics are tough. So when you see all of those Food and Agriculture Organization statistics, they usually have an asterisk, and it says, China's, statistics from China are not are not fully vested or vetted, but aquaculture has gotten a really bad rap. And sometimes deservedly so. Things like, causing those marine deserts under the net pens, dumping antibiotics in the water, putting antibiotics in the food and then dumping it into the coastal net pens, escapes, other damage to, coastal. People just don't like to have big, unsightly coastal net pens sitting outside their vacation home. That sounds trivial, but if you're a guy that's trying to start an aquaculture business, and you've got all your neighbors fighting you every step of the way as you're trying to get your permits, it's tough. And that's caused a lot of people not to get into aquaculture. And it's also causing what we are experiencing right now, which is the supply-demand issue is a big problem. So it can be practiced really responsibly. There is a lot of technology coming down the pipeline that will change the way that we grow fish. It'll change the safety of the fish we eat, and we can do a lot. I also think that, like it or not, we probably will see transgenic fish coming into the food supply. Europe seems dead set against it. The United States is not sure, but I think the reality of the situation is, around the world, some places won't regulate it as stringently. Those might be the places where big companies, commercial producers, go in first. They know they can get it through. They know they can use their transgenics there. They'll try it there. I think it's going to happen, and it's, we have to be aware of it. We have to put the right regulations on it. We can either fight that trend, or we can work with that trend and make sure that trend is done as responsibly and efficiently as it can be.